Thanks for listening to The Adam Carolla Show on Podcast One.
I just saved hundreds of dollars by switching to Geico. I feel like I'm on top of the world.
Disclaimer, you will not be transported to the top of the world. In the unlikely event you find yourself at the Arctic Circle, seek shelter from the elements immediately to avoid frostbite and or hypothermia. Geico will not be responsible if you find yourself in a cave or crevasse with a lonely, abominable snowman, who in all likelihood will force you to play games including but not limited to Go Fish, charades, Chinese checkers, or his personal favorite, Red Rover, send Yeti on over. Geico is not liable for any damages, either physical or emotional.
Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more.
Hey, Happy New Year, everybody. What a day. A lot of people watching a lot of football on New Year's Day, so we thought we'd keep a theme going. I talked to Eric Dickerson, NFL great, Hall of Famer, Rams great, Hall of Famer, and a few other teams, Colts as well. I talked to him for my Take a Knee podcast, and we thought we'd share some of that with you. So you can go to podcastone.com/premium and get yourself set up for not only all the Take a Knees, a lot of inspiration there, people, but all the archives, like just everything we've ever done for, I don't know, a couple bucks a month. It's like nothing these days. I was going to say for a price of a cup of coffee, but I just went to Starbucks. I got like a grande latte thing. It was like $8, so it's cheaper than that. Anyway, without any further ado, NFL great, Eric Dickerson.
Socrates, Buddha, Lombardi. Great teachers, mentors, and coaches throughout history. Joined now by Adam Carolla.
Don't do your best. Do my best.
Time to be motivated, inspired, and get wise. It's time to take a knee.
Yeah, get it on. Got to get it on. No choice but to get on. Mandate, get on. Welcome to yet another Take a Knee podcast, our motivational podcast. And I love football. I love how it pertains to motivation. And I love this man. Eric Dickerson is our guest. I'm a huge Rams fan. Probably the biggest time I was as big a Rams fan is when Eric was toting the rock for the Rams. Back in the 80s and into the 90s, and he's in the Hall of Fame now. He's a six-time Pro Bowler, and I used to love to watch him perform every Sunday. So good to see you, Eric Dickerson.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
I always, there's a couple things I remember about you when I'd watch the Rams and you would play. First off, in a day and age where everyone is stripped down, no one's wearing thigh pads anymore, nobody's wearing almost anything, you always had the neck roll on and the elbow pads. You and Jackie Slater were the guys who actually padded up for the game versus streamed down. But you never saw running backs putting extra weight onto them. What was that about?
Well, I was a big believer in, having as much padding as I possibly could because, football still is, but back in those days it was a very physical game. And, a lot of guys felt like they need to be lighter, but, I was fast and I could carry the pads, so it didn't bother me at all. I wore flak jackets. I had my shoulder pads reinforced, wore the neck roll, no hip pads, thigh pad, butt pad. I even wore shin guards at one time.
So what a lot of people don't know is guys like Warren Sapp would literally just put on cleats, socks, and pants. No cup, no butt pad, no hip pads, no thigh pads. No, just like literally wearing pants and socks. Like there wasn't anything there, and then a smaller pair of shoulder pads as they could get them with, and then a jersey tucked in. Like it was literally like he's playing football with just the helmet.
You got it. Well, a lot of guys did. A lot of defensive guys did. An offensive running back, you couldn't get away with that. I mean, because you got to understand, you're getting hits from everywhere. I mean, you never know where the hit's going to come from. A defensive guy, pretty much his hit's going to come straight forward. He's making a tackle. He's not taking a hit from like 5 or 6 guys chasing him. And unless he puts the ball under his arm, then it's different. But, for a running back, it's way different.
And Jackie Slater, I believe, wore 2 face masks.
No, he wore one.
I'm telling you, now Gary's got to find pictures because Jackie Slater had the full cage, and then he also had like the Bob Greasy quarterback thing over his head.
It was always one. It was one cage. It might look like two cages, but it was one cage.
I'm gonna find you a picture, Eric, and you're gonna owe me an apology.
Okay, I'll owe you an apology.
The Nerd Wallet is one of the things we're here to talk about. Mm-hmm. It's a financial service that Eric's partnering with them to help teach finance to NFL players, which is, I heard a stat by one of my sort of nerd football buddies saying that like 89% or something like that of ex-NFL players were basically broke, 5 years out of the league. There he is. That is Jackie Slater. He's wearing a drop face mask and a second face mask up top.
You owe me an apology. That is not Jackie Slater.
Oh, damn it.
No, that's not Jackie Slater.
Who
I don't know who that is. I almost look like Deacon, but that's not even Deacon.
No, that's not Deacon. That's after Deacon.
No, that is not. That's not Jackie Slater.
I'm not going to argue with the man who played with him.
I know that says it's Jackie Slater. That is not Jackie Slater.
Oh, you're going to owe me another apology back.
Whoever said that's Jackie Slater is not Jackie Slater.
We're going to find Jackie Slater, and then you'll owe me a third apology.
Okay.
So, there he is, number 75.
Jackie Slater's number 78.
Damn it! Who the hell is that then?
So, you see, you got it all wrong.
Well, not that wrong. Somebody from the Rams with two face masks.
There's somebody from the Rams, but not Jackie Slater.
Damn it. It's driving me nuts now. All right, we'll continue this frivolous search. Nerd Wallet. Yeah, yes. So the amount of guys that are broke, 5 years after their career or 10 years after their career, whatever it is in the NFL, is heartbreaking and astounding, right?
78% of guys have some kind of financial distress after they retire. Like I think it's like sometimes 2 to 5 years. In our era, people thought that look at you making all this money. You weren't. I mean, minimum wage was $40,000. I mean, a lot of guys had two jobs. You played football, and then they had another job in the off season.
Right.
It just wasn't a lot of money. I mean, when I came in, I made $150,000. I mean, people thought I just wanted more money from the Rams. It wasn't like that. I mean, the guys started really making real money. We started making real money, when I left the Colts, left the Rams, that's when I got really paid. I got over $1 million, and that's what I wanted from the Rams. But guys were not making money. It's guys making money today, but on an average, it's the stars. If it's 3 or 4 guys on a football team. Everybody else is making that, $400 or $500, because minimum wage is $465 now. I mean, $400,000 is a lot of money. Don't get me wrong.
No, but let me tell everybody from a guy, meaning me, who used to get by on about $11,000 a year. You can make $2 million a year. You can make $400K a year. You can make $5 million a year. And you get to the end of the year and you don't have anything left over. It's really easy.
It's easy.
It's easy just to go. They say a goldfish grows to the size of the bowl that it's in. Mm-hmm. You can easily spend to the bracket you're in so that you get to the end of the next year and you're back at zero.
Most people overspend. If you're making $10 million a year, you're spending 11.5 or 12.
Right.
If you're making $100,000, you're spending $200,000.
And this notion of where you go like, who needs all that? Or please, you're making $500,000 a year. You can't sock away. No, you cannot. It's easy. It's very easily screwed up.
Well, first of all, if you have bills, you have, and especially being an athlete. You have these buddies, these hanger-oners, these friends. Everybody wants a piece from you. You've got a lot of crooked agents who get you in these bad deals. And you got to think. You're talking about a guy who comes out of college. I'm just talking about right now. You got a guy who's coming out of college, having no money, and all of a sudden he goes from having $0 to all of a sudden he's making $2.5 million a year.
Right.
And you don't know what to do with $2.5. You never taught what to do with $2.5 million a year. You've got a say $10 million signing bonus. You don't do the $10 million signing bonus. So some guys rely on their agents, and me, I'm just not. I don't trust agents. Don't get me wrong. It's some good agents out there, but on average, they're not, because they're not for the player. They're not trying to help the player. The company Nerd Wallet, this name is not agents, but they try to teach a young player, not even a player, just a person. If you want to shop for a credit card, how to get the best interest rate. If you want to buy a car, where to buy, get the best deal on the car. And agents, there's a lot of them. It's all about them, what they can do for you, for themselves.
Well, the whole game and life is very much this way. It's all about what can you do for them.
Self-preservation.
Well, I mean, you think about it's no more prevalent than it is in sports and or show business. Like, hey, one day you're Matt Lauer, you get $25 million a year, and now you get $0 a year and stay home. And you think about, I mean, you talk about the Rams. I remember when Joe Namath came to the Rams, and it was like, he was no good. He was too old. His knees were shot. You know, it was Joe Namath. At some point, you get spat out, and it's just going to happen. Yep. In sports, and if you're an attorney or a doctor, it might not happen until your 79th birthday. But when you're in sports, it could happen on your 26th birthday.
It could happen on your 22nd birthday.
You blow out your whatever. Yeah. I mean, they're guys that go from, you know, leading the league in rushing to can't remember the dude's name 2 years later.
Well, the bad thing about the NFL is that nothing's guaranteed. You know, for the player. You know, the coach's salaries are guaranteed. The head coach's salaries are guaranteed. The general manager's salaries are guaranteed. But the player's salaries aren't guaranteed. And people, you say, I've said this for years, they don't hear it. You know, like, well, he got a 5-year deal for $30 million. I say, let me explain something to you. He won't see all that money 9 times out of 10. They don't. Most quarterbacks will, but it's just that in the football, it's not like that. You know, they're really 1-year agreements is what they are. And they can terminate that agreement anytime, and that's it. You could have $20 million left on a contract, and that's it. You don't see that money.
People don't understand. Just, I had a radio thing that was like 3 years, $10 million, and it was like 3 whatever million bucks the first year, and then 3.7 the next one. You do the first year and they pay you, and then you get around to the next year. They go, all right, we ready? And they go, we've decided to give you half of that. And you go, I thought we had a deal. And they're like, we did, but now we're gonna reconfigure things a little bit here. And so all that stuff you think is just, oh, this guy's going to walk home with this. And even if you do walk home with that, have fun with the tax man and the agent.
Have fun with the tax man and the agent. I mean, look, when you see a guy making $30 million, I'll just use that as an example, $30 million. He doesn't take home $30 million. Like they back a truck up and it doesn't work. Like, you got taxes, you got all kind of stuff you pay, you got agents if you have an agent, you know, if you got kids. I mean, you incur bills.
So you start off poor, right?
Almost definitely.
I remember, I haven't seen your, I love, Football Life, which is great. I watched yours, which is excellent. But I haven't seen it in a little while. So I'm trying to piece it together. Were you in Texas?
Sealy, Texas, town of 2,000 people, 2,357 people.
And a kind of poor that we're just never really going to see again, because now you're poor, but you have a flat panel TV and a cell phone. And it's like, and you got cable and stuff. Like, you grew up poor. I remember when Joe Frazier died, a few months back or a year ago, whenever it was, Smoking Joe Frazier, it said, son of a sharecropper.
Yes.
And I thought, we'll never hear that again. Yes. You know what I mean? Like, your dad was a sharecropper. Yeah. But Eric Dickerson grew up poor, like old school, old turn of the century poor.
Yeah, my dad worked for the railroad. He had retired. Well, I was adopted, so I was legally adopted by my great aunt. My dad had retired. He had a bad heart, and my mother, was my mom. She worked as a housekeeper. So, we didn't have a lot of money at all. I mean, I won't forget one time I looked at I don't know how I was doing. I was going through a checkbook and looked in a checkbook, and we had, I think, $23 in the bank.
Right.
So, but hey, we managed. I can say I was never ever hungry. I always had, clothes on my back. But man, we were not rich by no means of the.
Did it?
Way.
How? We never stop talking about that in today's political climate. But I also feel like when you're a kid and you're an athlete like you were, and all you want to do is get outside and throw the ball around and tackle somebody and just make some hay while the sun is shining, do you even know you're poor? I mean, you're poor, but does it really affect you without everyone screaming at you how miserable you should be? Like, I feel like just getting out and riding your bike and going out all day, or if you have a dog or any kids, neighborhood, friends.
I'll give you, no, not at all. I never even thought about that. Some of my friends said, man, you rich. I mean, we weren't rich because if we got a new car, if the year was 1970, the new car was 1965. That was a new car for us. I think now, just like right now, when years ago. I had a girl I was dating, and she lived right off of Fairfax and Peak on an apartment. And I had my house. I still live in Calabasas, had my big house there. And I would go over to her place, and she was like, I'd be over there like 3 or 4 days in a row.
Right.
And she's like, Eric, it doesn't bother you, in this one-bedroom apartment? I'm like, no. It never even crossed my mind because I didn't grow up like that. Look, I didn't grow up rich. Still today, it still trips me out that people even know who I am because that does not supposed to happen for me, for Eric Dickerson, where I'm from. If you saw where I'm from, a little town in Texas, no, that doesn't happen, and being a so-called superstar and playing in the National Football League, that wasn't even on my radar. I wasn't thinking about playing pro football. It just it was a blessing from God. It just kind of happened, and I embraced it.
Well, I tend to talk people out of the luck or blessing from God stuff, but in your particular case, being your size and having the foot speed you had, left tackle John Williams is the guy who wore the two-face mask. Damn it.
There you go.
I owe you an apology.
There you go. Say it again.
I'm sorry, Eric Dickerson.
Okay, yeah, you got it.
Wow.
I accept your apology.
It's just the J, Jackie and John, is so close
78
together.
and 75, a little bit.
Damn it. All right. Wow. And by the way, I owe apology to a lot of people because I used to tell everyone, Jackie Slater wore two face masks. So you have size and you have speed. And those are two things that are sort of touched by God stuff because it's really hard to affect your height and your foot speed. No, don't let anyone fool you. No matter how much you train, no matter how hard you work, no matter what you do, you could shave a couple tenths off your 100 time, but that's about it. That's when you're blessed with speed, you just have speed, and when you're slow, you're slow. Quickness, you can work on. Speed, nothing we can do about that. No. So your size and your speed are very sort of once in a lifetime and very few and far between. For that reason, they must have at some point been thinking about putting you at defensive end or something like that. A lot of folks, they try to get punished a little because of their size.
Well, I played free safety. In high school. But when I started playing football, they wanted me
running back.
No, right. They had me at wide out.
They did?
Yeah, I hated that. They had me at wide. I'm like, I don't want to be wide. I want because my favorite player was OJ. I say, he's tall. I'm tall. I can play. And they were like, you're too tall to play running back. Too big a target. I'm like, but I want to play running back. So, eventually I got the chance to play running back, and I like playing running back. That was the position I liked the most. I was good at it. I won't forget my first football game. I was in 7th grade, and because I didn't, we didn't play in Pop Warner. We didn't have that in small towns. And the game was on a Thursday. We played the Waller Bulldogs.
So you were in junior high.
I was in junior high, 7th grade. So we go play the Waller Bulldogs, and it rained that day, so we couldn't play. So we had to play Saturday morning. And man, I was nervous. My number was 45. Mm-hmm. And then we go over, and I won't forget. I was on a kickoff team. I was on a punt team. So they kick off, and I got the ball, and I ran it back for a touchdown. And I love football from that point. I think I had 6 touchdowns that day. And wow. I just love football. I just loved it at that point.
Well, was it also something? I'll speak from personal experience. So I played all through Pee Wee football and all that, and come from a poor family. It was like, well, finally something I'm good at. Like everything else, I wasn't good at schoolwork. The family was kind of a mess. Everything was kind of a mess. And then I'd go here, and I could be good at something. And I felt like it was very attractive to me because it's nice to go be somewhere where I can excel. But I couldn't excel in the classroom, and I couldn't really excel at home. But I felt like I could excel if I went here and did it. And that becomes kind of important when things aren't great at home and things aren't great in the classroom.
I agree with that. I can say I had a good home life, so everything was good at home. In my classroom, I was pretty good in class. And I had one teacher said, you could be a really great student, but you're lazy. And that was true.
And for you, were there thoughts, at what point did you start kicking around the notion of making a living playing football?
I had no clue about even getting drafted until my friend Harvey Armstrong played for the Philadelphia Eagles. He was at SMU. He recruited me to go to SMU, and they were coming in to play the Dallas Cowboys. And football just wasn't on my radar. I love playing it, but I didn't think about playing pro. So he comes in town. He called me, say, Eric, I want you to come over and meet Wilbur Montgomery. He's
running back.
I'm like, wow, Wilbur Montgomery. I'm like, okay.
Running back for the Eagles.
He had an apartment there. So I go over and I meet Wilbur Montgomery, and I meet him. I'm like, wow, he's little. I mean, I'm thinking, wow, he's a little guy. And he said, Eric, man, he said, this is Wilbur. I said, nice meeting you. And he said, wow, you big. And Harvey said, hey, man, you know they're talking about drafting you. Teams asked me about the Eagles. Asked me about you, and I'm like, ask what? About what kind of player are you? You know, you're as fast as they say you are. And I'm like drafting. He said, yeah, like they're talking about drafting. I'm like, and he said I'm like, well, how does? I asked him just like this. So how does it work? He said, Eric, you're possibly gonna be a first round draft pick. I'm like, so what does a first round draft pick get? He said, a lot of money. I'm like, really? So that was the first time I kind of heard about possibly me playing professional football, and from that point on, I was more really interested in it. I'm like, well, okay.
Is it because you come from such a small town where that just stuff doesn't really exist?
You got it. That's it. That's exactly it. It's almost like the small town mentality. I mean, I got to say that because I had a friend of mine that my best friend's brother. His name was Henry Hill. My best friend's name is Gary Hill. And I go back home after my rookie season. I'm back in Texas, and I'm there at my house. You know, we just kind of like in the yard talking, and I said, yeah, I had a party. You know, and Magic Johnson came to my party, and Gary's brother said, oh, come on, Eric, Magic Johnson, come, man, you don't know no Magic Johnson.
Right.
I'm like, Henry, I know, Eric, stop lying, man. You're not even on that level of Magic Johnson. I'm like, Henry, I was all pro. I mean, I was freaking, oh no, I don't even see that. That's not you. I'm like, oh, and that's so, once again, that's the small town mentality. You just, you don't think of that. You don't think of that happening for you or no one you know. And I just teased him about that last year. And I saw him. I said, you remember the time you told me that I didn't know Matt? He said, man, yeah, I know. I said, you sounded crazy.
It is weird. It's also weird what resonates with people or what means something to people. So going in first in the draft and getting money and buying a house to your friend may not have meant anything, but Magic Johnson coming to your house, that means something.
that meant something. Yeah.
I had a guy who worked for me as like almost like a ranch hand, except for like carpenter, patching the roof, doing the stuff like that. I've known this guy, Gary, another Gary, for a million years. And he always understood that I got paid a bunch and I did show business and knew this guy and that guy. He never said anything about it. And then one day, I mean, he's a motorcycle guy, and I had a Harley. And I said, I'm going to sell this Harley. And he said, why? And I said, I don't ride it. And Mike's Hard Lemonade gave it to me for free anyway for doing some promotional one. And he stopped. He went, what? And I said, they gave it. Me and Jimmy did a promotional thing with them, and they gave me this Harley. They gave you a Harley? I said, yeah. We did a promotion thing, and they gave you. And I thought, you've been to my house. You've seen my warehouses. You've seen my Ferraris. You've seen it all. Like, none of it's ever made his needle move. But somehow, because his world was motorcycles and your friend's world was Magic Johnson, now it meant something.
You got it. And they gave it to you.
And they gave it to you. He could never get past that thing. Yeah. And it was, it was $9,000 worth of Harley, but they gave it to him, and he couldn't wrap his mind around that. And that's interesting, that small town mentality and mindset. Now, when you become successful and all of a sudden you're leading the league and rushing and rookie of the year and all that kind of stuff, how do you avoid the trappings and the pitfalls? How do you avoid all the folks from the small towns?
I got to say, my mother was pretty frugal. She was kind of, she was straight to the point. Hey, you can't be giving these people buying. You can't be doing all that stuff, Eric. Because I want to build her home, and she's like, I'm an old lady. You don't need to buy me. You don't build me a house. I said, no, I want to build your house. So that was my first big purchase. I built my mother a house. Right there in Sealy, Texas. She's passed away, but I still have the house. And that was big for me. But you try to avoid. You got all the friends, the Pookies, the Sleepies, the little dead man, all them guys you hung around with back in the day. You can't do that. I mean, you got to kind of separate yourself. Not saying you're better than them, but you just can't. You can't engage in that anymore. Because like a lot of my friends, they smoked weed, and got high. I never got high. I mean, that just wasn't me. I mean, I would never use drugs. So that was another thing. And you just have to try to stay away from that kind of stuff, especially coming to LA from a small town. I mean, it was a lot out here. There's a lot going on because that was the time, cocaine was big and going to clubs were big and, girls and everything was big. I had one vice, the girls. That was it. That was my only vice, just like going out with the girls. So that was it. And I had to try to, contain myself with that. And that was my vice.
Well, LA in a town, and that time it was, Rams and Lakers and a little bit of Dodgers and not so much the Kings. And, Magic Johnson and some of the Lakers were the men on the basketball side, and pretty much Eric Dickerson on the football side. There wasn't a whole lot of, like I said, people knew Jackie Slater's name, but I don't think the ladies were throwing them themselves.
Jackie was married and I was single.
Oh, man.
So that was the difference. I was single.
And, it's a weird thing, right? You think back every once in a while. I think back on those days when just everything was sort of new and exciting. Like this notion that you could buy a new car.
Oh,
it didn't have to be 5 years old.
I mean, it was like, it was new. I mean, everything was like new. Like when you wanted something, you wanted it right now, being impatient for it. I remember I wanted a Ferrari. Because I like Miami Vice, and I wanted a Testarossa.
Right.
And I wanted a white Testarossa with tan interior, just like they had. And I was trying to find the price I wanted to pay for it. I knew what I wanted to pay for it. And I found one, but when I saw it, I'm like, I want it right now. I want this car. So, you have to kind of take your time, slow down. You learn over time. I mean, I can say I put a lot of money into cars, things I probably shouldn't buy with cars. I mean, cars lose value, especially, if you don't hang on to a car. Like if I had the Testarossa, that might be worth something. If I had my Trans Am, I think it might be worth more than my Testarossa I had than I had if I had the Trans Am I had in college. But, you waste a lot of money. Young players, you waste a lot of money on different things, on trips, girls, back in those days, a lot of drugs. And I wasn't, but a lot of guys wasting money on drugs. A lot of guys went broke doing drugs. I mean, some guys from my former players, and they've cleaned themselves up, but they'll say, man, I wasted a lot of money on drugs.
Was it Rod Perry?
I didn't play with Rod, but yeah, I knew Rod.
You came in after Rod Perry.
I was after Rod, yeah.
Someone who got busted for dealing drugs or smuggling drugs or whatever.
I don't know.
You got to figure it out now, Gary. It's going to drive me nuts. It wasn't Nolan Cromwell.
No, I wouldn't know. I played with Nolan. And the thing about playing back then is that I won't forget that it was our first preseason game. And we come in the locker room at halftime, and guys are smoking cigarettes, drinking whiskey, and drinking beer. And I'm like,
at halftime?
At half. I'm like, what the hell?
At halftime of a Rams football game.
Easy. I mean, they smoking cigarettes. Yeah, coach, run over that play again. I'm like, wow.
And drinking beer.
Oh, bro, drinking beer. And then there's some other guys, because we, after you retire, you say, Eric, because we've been in the bathroom doing cocaine, lines of cocaine. I'm like, huh? They said, oh yeah, man. They said, see, you didn't do that stuff. So you didn't do it. So we didn't, I wasn't around you. And, I didn't do it. So, I wasn't around that. So I didn't know, but yeah, a lot of guys did drugs, steroids, all kind of stuff.
We should mention, by the way, your cousin, Ricky Seals-Jones, is new in the leagues, playing tight end for the Cardinals.
Yeah, he's doing very well.
And doing well. Obviously, good genes to fall back on. Now, your cousin, did you know him? I mean, were you close? Did he mentor him?
I've known Ricky from the time he was born. Me and his mom are first cousins. And I won't forget, he came to my house. He was probably like 3 years old, came to my house in Calabasas. And I'm like, my cousin, her name is Theodora, but we call her nickname is Buffy. I'm like, Buffy, this boy runs around everywhere. I mean, he had so much energy. I'm like, this boy going to play some kind of sport. Well, luckily, he went to Texas A&M. He was a top recruit in Texas in high school football, a receiver. He's 6'5". At that time, he's probably like 220. Played wide out. I never thought they used him right at Texas A&M. I just never did. So make a long story short, when it was coming, he was thinking about possibly coming out because, he was getting frustrated there. And I told him, I said, Ricky, I said, I'm going to tell you something. I said, I really think that you should change positions. And he said, really? I said, why? I said, I'm going to tell you one thing in the NFL. It's all about mismatches. I said, you're a mismatch for a linebacker or a safety. You're 6'5", almost 6'6". You're big, you're fast, and you're physical. He's physical. And his mother said, Eric, he looks just like you in a uniform, only taller, because he's cut. Mm-hmm. And I said, Rick, you will be a nightmare for a linebacker tight end. So he kind of fought it a little bit, but he said, okay. So he embraced it, and he went to the draft. They still had him listed as a receiver, but, I told everybody he was a tight end. I was telling, different GMs about him and coaches. I said, my cousin, I tell him, hey, he's going to be tight end up there. I think he's going to be a really good tight end. And, people think you're saying it because you're your cousin. And I'm not that guy. I don't care if it's my son. If I didn't think he could play, I wouldn't say it. I just knew it. I could see it. I could just see it. I knew how good he was. I knew how hard he works, how respectful he is. And I knew he wanted to be, because he loved football. He wanted to be a great football player. And sure enough, he didn't get drafted. And the first team that called him was Arizona. And then the Texans called him right after. And he was at my house. And I was in Sealy when he called. And they had him called there. And so he asked me, he said, what team do you think? I said, who called you first? He said Arizona. I said, I like Bruce Arians. I said, they got Larry Fitzgerald there. I said, one of my best friends there, Roy Green, that played for the Cardinals, worked for the Cardinals. I said, I would go to Arizona. He said, I'd like to go to Arizona because I want to get away from Houston. And sure enough, he got there, and it's worked out. When from the time he got there, everybody said, man, Eric, they like him. He's raw, but they really like him. And I kept telling Ricky, they like you. Make sure you know your playbook. He said, Eric, I know. He said, I know both tight end positions. I know wide out position, because he's a smart kid. And the bad thing about college is that, and I'll say this to coaches, if you hear it, you college coaches, it's bad when they try to hold kids back. Ricky he said, I think I'm gonna declare, and they want him to stay. So they start bad mouthing him. He's not tough. He's not smart. I'm like,
they're trying to hurt his ability to be drafted.
Try to make him come back. He's not smart. I'm like, not smart. I said, this kid is he played quarterback. So, he said, I can read the defenses better than receivers. So, before he decided to come out, he's playing his last bowl game, and he wasn't sure yet. I said, now, Ricky, I'm gonna give you a tip. I said, now watch, I'm telling you this. The first couple of plays, they're gonna throw the ball to you, but probably 4 or 5 times in a row. Sure enough, just like I called it. First 4 passes went straight to him. They hadn't threw that much to him all year. I said they tried to bait you to come back. And he said, I'm not coming back. I don't want to come back. So I can say this much here. He's right now he's having a really good year. He's loving playing for the Cardinals. He had 2 touchdowns 2 weeks ago, had a touchdown the week before. Didn't get a touchdown, but got some catches last week. But I expect him, and I kept saying, I think he'll be a great pro. He'll be a better pro than he was college player for sure.
Well, I think if there's anyone to listen to in terms of prognosticating, it's probably Eric Dickerson.
Well, people think you're saying it because you're related, but I'm not that guy.
No, I get you're not that guy. I'm not that guy. And you can't be in football.
You can't be, right? You can't if you want to be.
But you can't make somebody into something with words. It doesn't work.
It doesn't work. Because look, everybody can see it. They're like, I don't see that. And they didn't see him as a tight end. I'm like, it's plain to me. He needs to put on a few more pounds before then, but he was 240. Now he's 255.
What did you play at?
I played at 225, 6'3", 225. I came out of college. I was about 218.
Big in the running back department and fast, and always had this thing where it never looked like you were working that hard. Just ran away from people.
It was a gift, but it was a curse at the same time. I heard that so much, like I wasn't trying hard. Matter of fact, I was at a bar. Me and some guys. I was playing with them as my rookie season. We had a club.
Just so people know who can't picture it. Eric ran, first off, he didn't lean forward that much. He just sort of ran up and down. And he also just wasn't doing the stuff that, you take Barry Sanders or something like that. That guy looked like he was killing himself trying to move that ball. And he had more negative yards than any other back ever had. But he looked like he never stopped burning calories. And Eric made it look smooth. And because it was smooth, it made it look effortless. And because it was effortless, they probably thought he should have been trying harder.
Exactly. I heard that so much. So I'm at a bar on Olympic Boulevard. This is my rookie season. Me and three other guys. We drinking and laughing and talking, and some guys come over, and we start talking to them, and the guy said, man, y'all play for the Rams? I said, yeah. He said, you Eric Dickerson? I said, yeah. And we get to talk and drink, and he said, man, I'm telling you, you don't look that fast on TV, man. I'm telling you. I said, I can outrun you. I said, dog, you cannot outrun me. Man, I'm telling you, you're not that fast. I ran track. I said, I ran track too. So we get into a debate.
Right.
A debate. I'm telling you, man, you ain't that. I said, I tell you what, Doc, let's just take it outside. He said, okay. I said, let's just go outside. So all of us went outside and they were like, Eric, come on. I said, I'm not going to get hurt. Go outside on Olympic Boulevard. I'll never forget it. So he says, well, give me a jump. I said, well, you said you can outrun me. I said,
right.
Well, I said, no, I don't. I tell you what, I give you a 5-yard jump. He ran like a 60. He said, okay. Took my shoes. I ran barefoot. Took my shoes.
You ran barefoot.
I'm from the country. I took my shoes off.
And this is after your rookie season.
This is during my rookie season. We're playing football still.
Wow.
Sure enough, we line up. They said go. When they said go, I was right next to him. He said, man, you don't look that fast. I said, I told you, don't let that TV fool you, man.
Barefoot down Olympic Boulevard. Oh, Coach Robinson?
Oh, Coach
Must
Robinson.
have been coaching back then.
Yeah,
so you ran track. Were you doing 100 meter?
I ran 100. At that time, it was a 100-yard dash. I ran a 9.3. It was a 9.39 100-yard dash, and I won state in 100. And then that year they went to meters in the state track meet. I ran a 10 100 meter, and my favorite was 200. I ran a 20.6 200. So I mean, I was a sprinter. I mean, anybody runs 100-yard dash anywhere in the nines is super blistery fast, and if you're low nines, then if you run a state in Texas, you can run. So I won state in my home state of Texas.
Getting Usain Bolt, but I'm getting a 9.58, but that's in the meter.
That's a meter. That's a whole
can't be faster than
different level.
Now they're saying here that it's Darrell Henley was busted, but that's not the guy I'm thinking of.
He's right. It's Darrell Henley. Darrell Henley, he's still in prison. I didn't play with Darrell Henley, though. He was a defensive back. He's
Pat
right.
Thomas? Who else got? There's some DB for the Rams that were bothering me.
I mean, when you search Rams, drug bust,
Darrell Henley. Mm-hmm. I guess that was a big drug because he wanted to kill a judge.
Yeah, he hired a contract killer to kill a judge and a witness. He's got 41 years.
Yeah, the girl.
Speaking of, oh my God, with that, Ray Caruth's kid, and Ray Caruth is getting out of, going to be getting out of the prison anytime now.
I heard about that.
Next year or so. That is as insane a story. You know what the scariest part of that whole Ray Caruth thing was a wide out for the Panthers. Had a girlfriend, got her pregnant, decided he wanted to deal with it, so he hired a couple of just street thugs to shoot her, basically. Mm-hmm. The craziest thing about, and the saddest part about that entire story for me is when they're interviewing the guy who shot the 9-month pregnant 23-year-old girl, and they're just sitting in prison, and he said, it was like, he gave me $4,000. Did you know her? No. Did you know him? Not really. So just give you $4,000 to go kill somebody? Yeah. And I thought, that scares the death out of me. The fact that for, $5,000 or under, you just can go find a guy who's wandering around who has no problems with shooting a woman, a pregnant woman.
A pregnant woman shooting anybody. It's funny you said. I was watching television last night on one of those detective shows. No, it was Dateline. And a guy paid a guy, and I just heard him say, he gave me $25,000. I'm like, to kill his wife. And they killed her. I mean, I'm like, $25,000 to take a human life. I'm like, wow, that's what it's worth. I mean, and you said $4,000. That was wow, that's even cheaper.
Gary, you can look it up, but it was literally like $5,000 or less, like a used pickup truck, and you'll take somebody's life. That is sad, scary, and insane to me. And now Ray Caruth, the guy who ordered the hit, is going to be out of prison and is going to want visitation for his 18-year-old severely developmentally injured son because he was shot. The mama was shot multiple times while she was pregnant with him. And he's going to have the right for visitation with that son.
How old is the son now?
I think the son is 18. Wow.
Just turned 18.
Turned 18, severely impaired. Watch that story and go hug your kids at night and thank your lucky stars.
I love my kids. I got 3 kids. I got an older daughter that's 30. I have a granddaughter, Irie, and then I have a daughter that's 12, Carrie. She runs track and plays basketball. I have a little son that's 5, and he's a trip. God.
Now, what do you want for him in terms of sports?
Whatever sports he wants to play. I mean, I would never push any sport on him. football, basketball, baseball, whatever he wants to play. He said to me the other day, he said, Dad, I think I want to be a race car driver. I'm like, okay, if that's what you want to do, okay, no problem. And then he said, no, you know what? Because he likes planes. I think I want to be a pilot. I want to fly planes. Mm-hmm. I'm like, okay, son, that sounds good to me. I mean, our kids today, my kids, and I think a lot of people, probably your kids too, if you have kids, are very fortunate. I think about how I grew up. I didn't have an opportunity to do that. I mean, the first time I flew on a plane, I was on a recruiting trip. So,
well, you don't. When you grow up poor, like we grew up, but also the poorest part is information, minus information. Yeah. No internet, don't know anybody's done anything, can't figure anything out. Everything sounds insane. Like, I'd see people, you'd watch TV and it'd be, hey, the Brady Bunch are going to Hawaii for a family vacation. I'd go, how does that work? Where do you go to Hawaii? You buy tickets, you get on an airplane, you go to Hawaii, you stay in a hotel. Like, who? Yeah. How does any of this work? Yeah. Like, it's mostly confusing. It's not, I wouldn't think like, oh man, we're poor, we can't do that. I'd more think like, what are they doing?
What are they doing?
How do you book a room in Hawaii?
Well, yeah, when you're a kid, I guess you think like that. I mean, I didn't think about it. I knew I wasn't going to Hawaii. I remember I used to watch Don Ho. I'm like, man, golly, I want to go to Hawaii. I want to go to Hawaii one day. I mean, the first time I came to Southern Cal, I came on a recruiting trip to USC. And that was the first time I'd ever seen mountains. Well, I took it about seen mountains before in Oregon because my mother's sister in Oregon rode the train to Portland, Oregon. And I was like, wow. And then I came to Southern Cal on my recruiting trip. And I'm like, man, look at these mountains. So I was in awe of mountains.
Was Robinson
the head coach?
He coached at SoCal.
He was the head coach. He recruited me.
Oh, he recruited you.
He recruited me. Yeah, recruited.
You didn't go to USC.
I didn't go to SC. No.
You went and became part of the Pony Express, or the better part of the Pony Express over at SMU.
Mm-hmm.
And
can I say something?
Yes.
I just found out when I was coming over here, and it's very ironic. I was watching the 1982 Cotton Bowl when we played in the Cotton Bowl, and just watching us play. And I got a call from one of our alumni that said my old coach Ron Meyer had passed away today. He passed away on the golf course, had a massive heart attack, and man, it hit me like a ton of bricks. So I just want to say to the Meyer family, if you hear me, I mean, I love Coach Meyer. I mean, really, he was a guy that my mother loved. That's the reason I went to SMU is because of Coach Meyer, and he kept his word to me and my mom. He said, I'll always treat him like he's my son, and he said, I'll make you rich one day. I won't forget that, and I'll make you famous. And so
I don't think people who don't play football understand what a huge impact coaches play in a young man's life.
No, they don't.
It is massive, and you don't get it out of baseball and even other sports. It's great if you got a good coach, you're playing baseball or basketball or something like that, but football coaches, they're sort of like generals that lead you into battle, and they make a huge difference in kids, and especially if the kid is missing the dad at home, big life-saving, I would say, between having that guy who becomes that sort of father figure, cares, provides discipline, but also praise and everything else. Just what a massive positive impact that football coach can make. And again, I played a bunch of sports. The other coaches were this sort of space savers. They just show up, take the place, have you run some drills and stuff. But football, there's a lot of philosophy in football and a lot of life lessons.
Well, football is all up close. I mean, it's a contact sport. Coaches are pretty much in your face a lot, not all the time, but in your face a lot. It's a lot of time, and something in the meeting rooms and learning, the plays, and it's an intimate sport. It really is. So a guy like my coach, my head coach Ron Meyer, was a guy that I really admired. I really did. I mean, we've always been close since when I retired, when I played, when I went to Indy. He's the reason I went to Indy. I mean, I didn't go to Indy because I wanted to go to Indy. I went to Indy because I got traded, but he was there. If he wouldn't have been there, I would have never went. I mean, so a lot of coaches, they have a big impact on a kid's life. I can say this much here. As even high school coaches, you don't realize how you can help a kid or you can hurt a kid. You can make a kid hate you as an adult. He'll grow up hating you because you think, you're trying to make him a man, or you. Sometimes they mess over kids because they don't like them or they don't like the parents, And my high school coach, I did not like my high school coach at all. I mean, and I never forgot it. I mean, my high school coach tried to hurt me as much as at times because he was from East Texas. Had never coached black players before he got to Sealy. Kind of picked on us, and all the black players quit at one point. And then I won't forget, one guy
quit together?
All of them quit. All of us quit. All of us quit at one time, except one guy named Winston Brown. He stayed on the team. And he came to everyone's house that summer and came back and asked all of us to come back and play again.
You guys quit after the season?
No, the season was going on. We quit.
During the season?
During the season. Because
you can't have all the brothers quit.
We quit. All of us quit. Because, I mean, it was just crazy stuff he was doing.
Was it just racism?
Yeah, it was racism. It was. It was to a point where I won't forget it. He made it where, okay, I don't want anything in the bottom of your lockers except your shoes. If anything's at the bottom of your locker, you're going to run for it. Like, you kidding. A piece of paper couldn't be in there. But just lo and behold, it was always the black players that something was in the bottom of the locker. A piece of paper, your jock, your helmet, a shoestring. It was just all of us. And it just became crazy. So, he had us out and we would run. He made us run. You'd run out the, I mean, I'm talking about run with your pads on. And finally, just one guy would quit, another guy. Man, I'm sick of him. Go in, run in, then finally, I'm like, you know what? I'm quit. This is ridiculous. So I quit too. And I won't forget a guy named James Abernathy. His name was Shaq. A little short guy. He lived in another town over named Brookshire. He was a big football fan, but just a big sports fan. And he came over to my house, and he knocked on the door. And I liked Shaq. His name was Shaq. I liked him. And I saw him drive up. He said, hey, Miss Dickerson. I said, hey. He said, is Eric there? She said, yeah, come on in. He said, Miss Dickerson, do you mind if I take Eric and talk to him for a minute? She said, sure. And I didn't know what he wanted. So I get in the car and we ride around. He said, Eric, he said, man, how you doing? I said, I'm good. He said, I heard you quit football. I said, yeah, man. I said, I don't like that white man. I said, man, he racist. I said, man, yeah, everybody quit. He said, let me ask you a question. What do you plan on doing? I said, man, I don't know, Shaq. And I was only a sophomore. I said, man, Shaq, I don't know. He says, Eric, he said, let me ask you a question. What do you see in this town when you ride around? And I said, nothing. He said, Eric, exactly, there's nothing in this town, son. He said, let me tell you something. He said, go back and play sports. He said, that could be your way out. He says, and it's funny how older people can see things you don't see, or your parents can see things you don't see.
How old was Shaq?
Shaq was probably in his 40s.
Mm-hmm.
And I was 15 years old.
Right.
He said, Eric, you're one of the best athletes we've ever seen in these parts. He said, and he was from a town over, from the rival town.
Right.
He said, I'm telling you, Eric, you could go places. And I'm thinking, me? I'm thinking, he said, I'm telling you, he said, if you don't want to play in Sealy, come on play in Brookshire. We'd love to have you over here. So I said, okay, I'll think about it. So when I got back, Mom said, what did he say to you? He said, he asked me about going back playing football. My mother hated football, so she didn't really care. She said, I hate that game. So sure enough, the coach came around to all the players' homes, and he asked us to come back and play. And we all went back. Eventually we all kind of got together and went back and played. And did I like him? No, I did not. I still didn't like him. We won state in spite of him. Won our state championship. I was senior year, and I was the number one recruit in the nation my senior year. It was me, John Elway, I think Marino was third. I still have the list.
That is a great list.
And so me and him get into an argument. And he said, I'll just tell, because he wanted me to go to the University of Texas. He was a big Texas fan. Mm-hmm. I'll tell these coaches, you're not interested in going to college, I told him, I said, man, F you. I don't need you. I said, if they want me, they will come to my house and get me. I don't need you. I mean, I'm talking to my high school coach like this. I'm a kid.
Right.
And so, sure enough, they would come to my house. I told him, I said, I don't like my high school coach. Me and him don't get along. Just don't like him. So about 2 years ago, I talked to him periodically. Somebody, his name would come up. I said, I don't like that man. I don't like him. What really, I think, hit me was we were at the Hall of Fame, and I was talking to Michael Irving, and his high school coach was there. And I said, Mike, he said, man, I love my high school coach. He said, man, that man, he said, I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for him. And I just thought about it. I'm like, wow. And a lot of guys said how much they care for their high school coach. I'm like, wow, I could not stand my high school coach. And so 2 years ago, I'm at home, and a buddy of mine, he calls me, and he said, Eric, he said, what's going on? I said, nothing. He said, as I'm at the golf course, let me let you talk to somebody. Somebody want to say hi to you. I said, okay. And he gets on the phone. He said, hey, Eric. I knew his voice right away.
Yeah.
And my heart started beating fast. Almost like being a kid again.
Right.
I said, how's it going, Ralph? That was his name, Ralph. I said, how's it going, Ralph? He says, "It's going good, Eric." I say, "Good, man." He said, "Eric, I just want to say something to you, Eric." He said, "I want to apologize to you." He said, "I want to apologize." He said, "I was an idiot." He said, I was an effing idiot. I said, "I just got to say that." He said, "I did a lot of things wrong, and I just want to say that I'm proud of you. You know, you've become a really good young man." He said, "I just want to say I'm sorry." When he said that to me, it kind of changed. It changed things. I mean, I'm like, okay, because I knew. I'm like, are you young? But you think, am I wrong too? I'm a kid,
right?
But it really did put some things to rest. But I mean, I wish I would have had a relationship with my high school coach like a lot of guys did. But you're right when you say that the coaches, man, y'all can make or break some of these kids' careers, some of their lives. Believe it or not, I mean, they hold these grudges forever.
Oh.
Even bosses, guys you work for when you were a kid. I hate him.
Listen, I hate Mike Sturmat. He was the first foreman I had on a construction job when I was 19.
That's what I'm saying. You remember his name, Mike Sturmat.
He asked me my kid's middle name. I'm like, geez, was it after my wife's dad's name? But Mike Sturmat, I know very, very well. Well, before we go, let's talk about the current Eric Dickerson working for the Rams, VP of Business Development. Rams. I'm a lifelong Rams fan. Grew up in L.A. There is no, people say to me, like sometimes I'll go, well, first off, they go, well, why are you a Rams fan when they moved to St. Louis? See, this always made me angry. Jimmy's cousin Sal, who grew up in Long Island, was always a Cowboys fan.
Yuck.
And I know. And he always made fun of me for liking the Rams the whole time they were still in St. Louis. And I said, well, what am I supposed to do? I grew up as a Rams fan. They moved to St. Louis. We get no other team, so either have nothing.
But they're still the Rams.
Or still the Rams. And by the way, this coming from the guy from New York.
That's what I'm saying, the Cowboys fan.
Cowboys fan. He got a lot of balls bringing that in here. But this year, man, the Rams, and I remember Rich Eisen was sitting right where you were sitting, probably in the off season, probably during the summer or something. And I went, oh boy, Rams, how are they going to do again? And he went, oh, this McVay guy, he said, he's for real. And I said, are you, come on. And he just went off on how great the coach was, how young he was, but how good he was. And I said, well, I'll believe it when I see it. And here they are, man.
Yeah, here they are. I'll say two things. First of all, you're right. I mean, I played for the Rams, played for the Colts, I played for the Raiders, but I'm a Ram. I've always been a Ram, and just to show you how loyal I am, no matter what, is my cousin plays for the Cardinals. They played the Cardinals last week, and I sent him a text. I say, hey, Rick, I want you to play well. I say, even get 2 touchdowns. I say, but I don't want you to win. I still want my Rams to win. McVay has done a great job with this football team. I didn't see it coming. I really didn't. I didn't know Sean McVay from Adam.
How could you? The guy's 32. Yeah.
But it doesn't even make a difference about how young a good guy is. I said this last week. I said, is it a handbook to say how old you have to be a head coach? It's no
it's just you think you'd hear about these guys, but they're so young. They haven't been around long enough.
The young guy, that is the new thing. These young guys, McVay has been around football since he was a kid. Played in the state championship. His grandfather was, the general manager of the 49ers. So he knows football. I mean, he really knows it. And he has made such an impact on this football team. The players really respect him. I can't think of the player's name. He was a defensive player. We sent him to Miami. And I was at the grocery store. McVay had just been announced the head coach. I'm at the grocery store, ran into him. And I said, what do you think about Sean McVay? He said, Eric, let me tell you a story. He said, man, he got the job. And he texted me. William Hayes is his name. William Hayes. Mm-hmm. He texted me, and I didn't see the text for a couple hours later, many hours later. And I texted him back. He said it was like 12 o'clock at night when I used to say, I'll talk to you tomorrow. I'm sorry I was so late. He hit me right back. Hey, I'm up watching film. If you have time, we can talk right now. And he's like, wow. He said, our old coaches would have been nothing like that. He said, this guy, I can tell you one thing. He's committed to football. And that's the thing. You have to be committed to that job, to love that job the way you love your children or love anything else. Because, you're talking about sometimes a city. You can make a city with a football team. You do. I mean, you make a person's whole year. And you're talking about players who play a sport they love and get a chance to win. But when I saw the Rams last year, it was really sad to see our team come back and to play the way they played. And it wasn't the players' fault. I didn't blame them. I mean, it was the coaching. The coaching was terrible. I was at the practice one day, and I see him run a play. when the play was run wrong. They busted it. And they didn't run it again. I'm like, they're not going to run it again? No, they don't do it like that around here. I'm like, oh, I said, well, they're gonna screw it up on Sunday. So when you don't have accountability, and Jeff Fisher, to me, never took accountability for some of the stuff that went on. I mean, look, when you don't win, I don't care who you are. You got to win. That's what it's all about. Jeff Fisher was not a winner. I don't think he really cared at the end. I think he was just hanging on for the money of that job. And I wasn't here to bash Jeff Fisher. I didn't want that incident with Jeff Fisher. He brought it to me, and I put it back on him because when he called me on the phone and told me that he didn't want me on the sidelines and blah 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 and this and that. And when I said, okay, Jeff, I said, man, thank you for the call. I appreciate it. And he thought he was about to hang up. You see, Jeff, I don't know Jeff, and Jeff doesn't know me. He doesn't know my personality. And he said, okay, then, well, thanks, Eric. And I said, oh, no, hold up. I said, it's my turn now. So I told him what I thought. That's the first thing I told him. I said, Jeff, I don't care what you think. I said, I don't give a damn what.
Why did he say that? I don't. Why? I mean, you want to talk about not ingratiating yourself?
Because he said that he didn't like that I was talking about his coaches. I was talking. I said, let me explain something to you, Jeff. I don't care about your coaches. I said, I care about winning, just like the city of L.A. We want to win. That's what we don't care about coaches. We're talking about winning. He didn't like us. I said that Chris Winkie wasn't the right guy to coach Jared Goff. I'll say it again. He wasn't. You see, the proof is in the pudding. Look at it.
Jared Goff was, first selection, first round pick, who went from a bust to
possibly making the Pro Bowl this year.
Possibly making the Pro Bowl, top 3 or 4 in the NFL.
Exactly.
This year.
And you have to have you have to have the coaching at that position.
9 months older.
Yeah, 9 months older. So, it just shows. And like I said, I didn't want that. And hey, here we are. And I'll say it again. It was for, if they want to give me the credit for getting him fired and I don't like that credit, hey, I'm always for our fans. It's all about the fans. It's not about the players. It's about our fans. You want to put a good product on the field. And, we're proud to be Ram fans right now. Really proud. I was talking to Aaron Donald. I said, Aaron, when you come into a city now, when the Rams come to play, I say, you have a different, it's way different. We walk up, people like, oh, we got the Rams, It's not like last year, 2 years ago. Win, we'll beat them, win. No, it's not like that anymore.
Right, where they just go through the schedule in advance. They go ahead and put a W next to the next time or two they play the Rams so they can work that out, which they always do. Eric, I should say NerdWallet is where you go, which is the website is nerdwallet.com. Also, the Rams are playing Philly
Sunday.
Oh, wait a minute. Oh, it's the next week. Sorry. This is no, they're playing
No, they play Philly Sunday. This Sunday.
Yeah, that's true. They do, but we're airing a different show. This will be 1 week later than Adam's thinking.
They'll be playing Seattle.
Later, yeah.
Ooh. I'm going to that game. I'm flying to that game.
That's going to be a good game, everybody.
A good physical game, yes.
Good physical game.
Yes.
And it's funny. I like Seattle's offense, but their defense makes me angry. I hope the Rams run all over them. So NerdWallet is where you go. And I'm trying to think what else for you, Eric Dickerson. You want to shoot out a Twitter handle or anything like that?
At Eric Dickerson.
There you go.
That's it.
Well, we can check and put another check on my bucket list. I met my idol, Eric Dickerson.
Thank you. You can catch me on FS1 on Undisputed with Shannon and Skip Bayless.
And Skip as well. So, until next time, to Adam Carolla for Eric Dickerson saying, mahalo.
Congratulations. You're now a better person.
And by the way, I'm not doing this for me. I'm doing this for you.
Download more wisdom and inspiration next week on Take a Knee. This is Corolla Digital.
I'm a robot vacuum cleaner, so yeah, I got one gig. I suck up dirt, so pardon my inferiority complex about Geico, who does so much more. Like, not only could they save their customers money on car insurance, but they got fast and friendly claim service too, and an award-winning mobile app. Plus access to licensed agents 24/7. Who am I kidding? I can't even do corners. Uh-oh, choking hazard.
Popcorn kernels.
Geico. Expect great savings and a whole lot more.
Hey there, I'm a glue stick, so I have one job. I glue kid stuff. So sorry for being jealous of Geico, who does a ton more, like give you 24/7 access to thousands of licensed agents. And Geico has been around for over 75 years and has a 97% customer satisfaction rating. While I've just got mediocre adhesive skills, Geico also has an award-winning mobile app. Uh-oh, arts and crafts time. No eating the glue stick, Miss Lydia!
Geico. Expect great savings and a whole lot more.
Held captive. I'm Tim McGuire with an AP News Minute. An emaciated teenager who was 17 but looked 10 yesterday led sheriff's deputies to her home in Paris, California, outside Los Angeles. That's where they found her 12 brothers and sisters, some malnourished and chained to their beds. Neighbors like Julie Olha tells KMBC-TV that of the few times she saw the family, the parents, David and Louise Turpin, were more than standoffish.
You could tell that they were cautious, that they didn't want to look at people.
The Turpins face charges that could include torture and child abuse. President Trump uses his weekly address to honor Martin Luther King Jr. on his holiday.
I ask every citizen to join me in remembering this great American hero.
The president's words ring hollow for many. New York Governor Andrew Cuomo blames Trump for the growing racial tension.
The President of the United States condemns nations, countries, millions of people, Haitians, Salvadorans.
I'm Tim McGuire.